Today is a snow day in Tokyo, so I wanted to stay at home and make a little story time. One of the questions I get asked a lot across all my social media is normally from people who want to get into wearing Jfashion or alternative fashion, and they're kind of shy and they don't know the best way to go about it. So I thought I would make this video explaining my journey into Jfashion and how I ended up doing what I'm doing now. It's important to remember that I'm 32, so I've been wearing Jfashion for over 15 years. I love Jfashion, and my journey has been, it was very transitional. It started off very small and then it grew, and there were dips where I didn't wear it that much and dips when I got back into it. So like anyone's journey, my journey was very, very different. I wear Jfashion very proudly and confidently now, but it wasn't always the case, so that's why I wanted to share some of my experiences for you. I don't have the perfect answer for that question, but I feel like if we have an open conversation about this and maybe talk about the things that each empower us to wear the things that we do, it might help. Because I really do get it, like the first time you have a full complete outfit, particularly something like Lolita, and you're going to wear it outside, and when you're living in a country where obviously this isn't the norm, and let's be honest, it's not the norm in any country, it's not the norm in Japan either, then of course you're going to be shy. Like, it's embarrassing. Having people suddenly start looking at you when normally you blend in is honestly a little bit embarrassing at first, but the more you do it, the more you tend to not even notice. Like, when I go outside, I'm completely filtered. Like, I don't really notice when people look at me. Now I live in Japan, people might stare at me because I'm foreign, or they might stare at me because I have blonde hair. It might be because of how I'm dressed. So honestly, it could be any of those factors, so I don't even care about it anymore. Of course, I live in Japan, and people think that wearing Jfashion is the norm here, like subculture niche street fashion, but it honestly isn't the norm. Like, dressing like this even in Tokyo, people are gonna stare at you. And that's the first point I want to bring up. Like, in this video, I'm gonna say a lot of things that you might not agree with, and that's totally fine. These are just my opinions, so I like to have a very open conversation about that. But the first thing is that people will stare at you, and that's just something you have to get used to. Like, I know a lot of people that wear Jfashion just in their rooms and then they don't wear it outside. And honestly, if you're someone very, very shy and someone who's very, very socially anxious, you need to understand that people are going to stare at you, and people might even take pictures of you. So it's going to take a little bit longer to build up that confidence. And just prepare yourself for this happening, because I've met so many people in Japan who come here and they're completely dressed up, and they go outside, and then maybe people will ask them for a picture, or they'll be stared at, blah blah blah, and they're completely shocked Pikachu face. Like, of course people are gonna stare at you. And don't get me wrong, you should never ever ever take pictures of someone without their consent, straight up. And even just barging up to people when they're going about their day and asking for pictures is honestly a little bit rude, but it's gonna happen, unfortunately. Like, I get it when I go outside dressed up sometimes, it does happen, and it's just something that you have to mentally prepare yourself for. My first year in Japan, I did actually know a girl who used to hang out with us sometimes, and if someone took a picture of us from afar, she would just go honestly apeshit, and she would shout at them and scream, like actually scream, and be like, "Don't take pictures of people!" And then of course then everyone would look at us, and then we become kind of like the assholes because we're shouting at random bystanders. So it's kind of like, I always normally take the balanced route where don't fucking take pictures of people, but also people might take pictures of you, and that's gonna happen. And the best thing you can do is kind of just say, no, I don't want my picture taken, or just kind of walk away. There's a lot of really dumb pictures of me on the internet, so it's kind of fine for me. Like, I'm kind of like used to it, but I understand for most people, you might not want your picture taken so candidly. But again, that's just something that you kind of have to prepare for. So when I started wearing Jfashion, I was living in my hometown, and I'm from Essex in the UK, and obviously no one, at that time there was barely anyone in my hometown. Maybe I was the only one that kind of started dressing like this. I started very early, I think it was like my late teens, so I didn't have barely any money at all, so it was such a small process, and that way maybe it was easier for me because I wasn't going out in a full coordinate at first. First I would have like little Lolita shoes and then go out like that. Then I would have like a blouse or something with a regular skirt, and then because I didn't have enough money for a full outfit, I would save up piece by piece, and eventually when I got to the point of me wearing a full outfit, I kind of even didn't notice because I had been wearing bits and pieces here and there. So yeah, I think one way of doing it is just little by little, like build yourself up. Someone asked me recently how they could get courage to wear tenchi kaiwai. And tenchi kaiwai is like light blue, and it's kind of like sportswear, right? It's the fashion that I wear the most now. I think that's just straight up sportswear. Like, I think if you wanted to wear something in your town that's maybe a little bit more inconspicuous, then wear tenchi kaiwai, because it's pretty much just like sportswear. And I'm from a place that's just like, back when I lived in my hometown, it was straight up chaps. Like, if I'd worn tenchi kaiwai, they probably wouldn't have even noticed. Then I was really lucky that I lived in commutable distance to London, so when I looked on Facebook, I found out that there were a bunch of Jfashion groups, mostly for Lolita, and you could have little meetups. If you're really, really nervous about wearing Jfashion for the first time, I really suggest you go to a fashion meetup. Which again, if you're socially anxious, and I am very socially anxious, that's kind of a big, you like to like two things already. Like, you're gonna get dressed up and people are gonna see you, and then you're gonna meet a whole bunch of new people, so it kind of sucks. But I think it's the best way to kind of like debut yourself into this environment, because the train there or the journey there, people are going to be staring at you and you're going to feel really uncomfortable. But when you arrive and there's a lot of people all dressed up, you'll feel much better. Honestly, I can't feel grateful enough to the Lolita community in London, because it really helped me come out of my shell, meeting people with similar interests and people that dress up the way I did. It was honestly really, really nice. And like, as I mentioned before, I didn't have a whole lot of money, so at the start, most of my outfits were straight up trash, like trash, and people were still really, really nice to me, so that was one good thing. Going off of that point, when you start wearing any new fashion, or when you start doing any new hobby, you're probably gonna be trash at the start. Like, it's just a fact of life, and that's okay. It's totally fine. Online Jfashion communities can kind of be a lot. I feel like they've toned down a lot in the last 5 years. But I remember when I first got into Jfashion, there were like hate sites, like journals where people used to post hateful secrets and stuff like that. It was honestly a wild ride. So people were very, very conscious about what they were wearing. I hate that kind of stuff the most because I find it's really, really classist. Obviously, if you don't have a lot of money, you're not going to be able to wear a full coordinate of clothes. So obviously you're not going to be as polished as someone who just spent $1,500 on a complete outfit. So the whole thing is just classist. It makes me so mad. When I first started out, I think I had a few bad things written about me. I think I came off quite lucky compared to other people. But yeah, honestly, the first time I saw something, particularly when someone wrote stuff on my picture, I was so like upset that I thought I never want to wear Lolita again, or maybe I'm just not good at it. It's totally valid to feel like that. Honestly, like, it's totally fine to be upset, like, because that's a terrible thing to happen, and that's a really dickhead thing of someone to do. But never let it get you down. Like, take your time, feel shitty about it, get right back up and start wearing the things that you like to wear. I'm really glad, because looking back, there were times when people had said shitty things to me and I really considered just giving up, and I didn't. And I'm so glad I didn't, because I ended up having so many wonderful opportunities, meeting so many people, and making so many memories because of Jfashion. So I'm really, really glad I didn't let a few dickheads ruin it for me. But yeah, that's another thing that you gotta think about. Like, when you start dressing up, when you start taking pictures of yourself and posting it to the internet, these pictures could end up pretty much anywhere. And of course, any hobby, and this is like literally any hobby at all, when you enter a space and you start posting pictures and becoming part of a community, there will be jealous people, there will be haters, there will be gatekeepers. Like, it's like honestly any other hobby. They have it for crochet, they have it in gaming, every kind of like niche hobby I've joined, there's always been people like that. So this is just a fact of life, and it's something that you have to kind of be a little bit aware of before you start posting pictures. That's the second point I wanted to touch on. And a lot of people might not agree with me on this, but when you start getting into Jfashion, I would suggest doing a whole bunch of research, looking at tutorials online about hair and makeup and like different coordinates, find your favorite fashion inspirations, kind of like see what they're doing, and take some time to kind of polish your look before you start posting pictures online. But honestly, that's not what I did. I just started posting, and and honestly, looking back, there were some really dodgy outfits of me. I don't really regret it, but I feel like back then, when I was into it, there was honestly not that many tutorials online for like hair and makeup, and it was a lot harder to buy stuff online than it is now. But I think now you have so many resources at your disposal, so it's a perfect time to like look at some tutorials. Even on TikTok there's a lot of hair and makeup tutorials, so yeah, I would honestly just suggest taking your time. When you find a new hobby, like I'm like this too, like you instantly want to jump in and like be part of the community, but I would honestly recommend just taking your time, seeing how people talk, see how people interact, and take it slowly. Okay, so the story time element of this video is I wanted to talk about the first time I wore Lolita in front of my friends in England. And my friends are not into any kind of Jfashion, they're just my normal high school friends. And this ended up being a very, very bad memory for me. So yeah, it's just something to consider. We were all going out to Pizza Express, and we used to go like, I don't know, every month or every couple of months. It was like a really nice girls thing, and it used to be lots of fun. And I had it in my head I was gonna wear Lolita randomly and show up, because I was so used to wearing Lolita to go to events in London, and I just kind of forgot that it wasn't like the norm. So I decided to get dressed up, and this would be like my debut. And this is where I went wrong, is I didn't tell my friends in advance that I was going to dress like this. Looking back at the outfit, it honestly wasn't that bad. It was like a Baby the Starshine Bright red apron dress, and yeah, it was pretty basic. It wasn't too much, but I can imagine for people who are not used to seeing this fashion that it's kind of like a lot. So yeah, I went to meet my friends. My friends at high school, we're still friends now. They're really nice, but like any group of high school friends, there were times when they could be kind of bitchy, they could be kind of mean, and I think it's just like growing up in high school, like people are just like that. So yeah, I arrived and I was prepared for maybe someone to say a bitchy or mean comment. Like that's what I was expecting, and I was just gonna rise above it or maybe educate them about my fashion. Like I expected some kind of questions, like I expected like, why are you dressed like that? What happened was so much worse. So I arrived, and yeah, I met maybe 4 or 5 of my girlfriends. I turned up and no one said a goddamn thing to me. Everyone just ignored the fact that I was dressed as little boy creep, and we just went inside and sat down, and I was like, should I bring it up? Like, why didn't they notice? And you could tell they did notice, obviously, because I'm wearing a $200 Baby Sunshine Bright dress, but I left it too long, and by the time we were already eating pizza, I was like, damn, I should have mentioned something at the start. So we were all just sitting there awkwardly, and they just completely ignored the fact that I was dressed up. I think that made me feel worse than if someone had just said, what the fuck are you wearing? That's hideous. Like, I think I would prefer that over just everyone just glossing over it. That was a very educational moment for me. I didn't wear Jfashion around those friends anymore, but they're very aware that I'm into that now, obviously, because I post so much on my social media, and they're totally fine with it. Like, they don't hate it or anything. And one of them actually joined me for a TV show once, so it was like, it was fine. It was all in good fun. But that's one thing, like, I think that people need to be a little bit more understanding about, is honestly, it does look kind of strange to people who are not used to this kind of fashion. And as much as you want everyone to be so understanding and so patient, people generally aren't always like that. So I think you do have to be a little prepared that maybe your friends and family might say something to you that you might not like, and that's okay. Just rise above it and put it to one side and try to not let that get you down, because that's another thing that can really kick you down at the start of wearing Jfashion, particularly when probably the first people that are going to see you in this outfit are your parents or your friends from your high school, whatever, and having a negative reaction from them might feel bad. But I think it's just because like they're shocked, like they're not used to seeing you like this. So yeah, that's something to consider. For me, I was very lucky where my parents were very supportive. But I do have friends even now where their parents are very, very against them wearing Jfashion, and it's really, really sad for me because it does become a part of your identity. I did have an issue before, like I remember, because this was a long time ago in England, I remember my mom showed me a newspaper article about Venus Angelic, and she was like, wow, like she looks cute, but like how is she supposed to get married when she dresses like this, like blah 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 blah. And like, I dress like that, so like why are you showing this to me? And this is one of the biggest things that people will say to you when you dress in Jfashion is like, oh, how will you find a boyfriend dressed like that, blah 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 blah. It's like, okay, first of all, men's penises are not the be all and end all of everything, okay? Being married, again, isn't the be all and end all of everything. Like, first of all, if I dress like this and no man ever wanted to come near me ever again, so be it, like that's fine. However, a lot of men really do like Jfashion. They like cute things, they like frills, they like whimsy, and like I would prefer to date someone like that. Also, men honestly will fuck anything. Like, Jesus Christ, like men will fuck anything. Like, it doesn't matter how I dress, how hideously I could dress, I would still be able to find some man willing to date me, and that's just life. So I think that's one of the shittier things to hear is like, oh well, and what kind of guy is gonna date you, like blah 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 blah. It's like, that's really a non-issue. I had this before as well. When I posted my room, before I had a much more princessier room than this. It was very pink and frilly, and a man commented, oh my god, does your boyfriend sleep in that bed with you? Like, bro, my guy, you're single, you're sleeping on like a mattress on the floor by yourself. Are you somehow implying that it's gay for a man to sleep in a bed with a woman? Like, this is why you're single, my guy. But yeah, the only issue I had with my parents, my dad didn't really say anything, but my mom also. One time I was going out in London to an event and I wore like a black wig. It was back in the day, like Hime, really like bouffant style hair was very popular. It was a curly black wig, and I wore a white dress. It was kind of like a Snow White kind of thing, and I never really had black hair before. And I went downstairs and my mom was completely disgusted because my mom was very shallow in a lot of ways, and she for some reason took issue with me having this black wig, and she said that it made me look so much older, and I feel like that was the issue. She was like, it made me look much older, and she just didn't like it, and she said it didn't suit me. And at that time, I think I was like 19. Like, honestly, I'm not even that old. Like, also, I don't see the issue with looking older. Like, that's, like, there's nothing wrong with aging. So, yeah. And then she made such a big deal about how bad I looked, and that it just looked terrible, and blah, blah, blah. So then I went to this event, and I felt bad the whole day. Like, I didn't really want any pictures taken of me. I don't think I really took any pictures on the way there or there. But someone did take a picture of me, and I was working on my friend's stool. Someone took a picture of me, and yeah, and my friend posted it. And so yeah, I kind of forgot about that until recently. I was looking through old pictures and I come across this picture of me, and I look so cute with like my curly little black ringlets and my little white dress. I look so cute. But I thought I looked terrible in that picture, and like I really felt so self-conscious the whole day, and that's so sad that someone in my family, someone who's supposed to care about me, made me feel like that, and that's the sad thing. So I want you to, and this is something I want you to think about when you're going outside and you're dressed up and maybe you're feeling self-conscious, or you think that you look bad or you look ugly or something like that, is that you probably look really cute, and you're probably going to look back on that picture and realize how cute you were. So honestly, don't worry about it. But for me, it really was a process, as I mentioned before, because when I started off, it wasn't too bad, but then I would go through dips where people would say something to me, or again, like when my mom said that my hair looked bad or something like that, I would go through dips where I didn't want to wear it anymore. And I think that's completely natural because our own self-confidence it does go up and down. And again, I managed to amass such a nice wardrobe, so I started to feel really cute. But then when I moved to Japan, I moved here with almost nothing, so I had to start from ground zero. And at the start, I did kind of not feel that cute. And then actually when I did move to Japan and I did start dating, I remember I post pictures on the dating app of me wearing like Jfashion, and I remember I went on a date with this guy for like, we had like 3 dates, so it was like, will we date, won't we date, like it wasn't that serious, but it also was kind of like maybe it could be. And then on like the 3rd or 4th date he did say, by the way, I don't like Lolita fashion. And I remember just picking up my stuff, and I was at his apartment. I just picked up my stuff and I just left. Like, we were supposed to go out for lunch, and I was just like, nah, forget it. Like, this really is part of my identity, and this isn't something I want to turn down or get rid of for someone. So yeah. And here's the thing, and this is something that, another thing that people might not agree with, but when I was with my ex, there would be times where we have to go meet his family and stuff like that. When I met his family, I would turn it down. It wouldn't be like a huge amount, like you could still see that, you know, I'm kind of a weeb, but it was turned down because like, I don't want to go meet grandma and I'm wearing like My Melody ears or something like that. And I've spoken to a lot of people that are like, they will not do this. They will not turn it down to meet people's family. They will not turn it down for like work and stuff like that. And honestly, this is my biggest piece of advice, is I really think that balance is important. Wear what you want in your own free time and express yourself how you want, but there are times when maybe it's not the best idea. Like, I've met people who refuse to not wear this kind of stuff at work, and they come to Japan and they start working as like teachers and stuff like that, and they think because it's Japan and like everyone dresses like this, as I mentioned before, it's still a niche subculture thing. So of course they would end up getting fired, or like people just think they're weird or something like that. So like that's really something to consider. And I know it sucks, and I know like personally I want to wear frilly dresses every day, but unfortunately, particularly in like a business environment, it is kind of a little bit strange. And also I know tons of Japanese people that wear this kind of fashion. There's 2 choices. They either work in shops, or they have like creative like artist jobs, or they're like tattoo artists, and they're always dressed up and they wear whatever they want, or they just wear it in their spare time. And like, I know a lot of people who get super dressed up, and you wouldn't tell when they're at work, like they're in complete suits, like you wouldn't be able to tell. So it's very like, those are your 2 options. You can either go into a creative field and like really dress up, or not. Like, those are your 2 options. Like, being dressed up is very important to me. It's something I really love, but also economically I gotta work, so yeah. I think that's a sacrifice I'm very willing to make at work, just so I'm able to afford to continue living this kind of lifestyle. So yeah, that was a very ranty and kind of like up and down video. I want to know your opinions on this. Do you feel shy when you go outside when you're dressed up, and what kind of things do you do, or how did you give yourself enough confidence to do that? Again, like even now sometimes I get kind of nervous when I'm really dressed up, and particularly when you live somewhere that's not like very city, people will still stare at you. So even now I do get a little bit shy, but I think that's completely normal, and it's not always a bad thing. It's kind of like stage fright. Like sometimes it gives you a little bit of adrenaline. Again, self-esteem goes up and down. Like there are times where you're not gonna wear it, there are times that you feel more confident. That's totally normal and that's totally valid. So sometimes you'll feel like, oh my god, I feel so ugly, I don't want to wear it today, maybe I won't ever wear it ever again. Take your time, there's no rush. And of course people will say stuff to you, that's inevitable, unfortunately. Again, I know it kind of sucks, but just try to not take it too much to heart. Wear the things that you love, wear the things that you enjoy. And you know what, I've worn tons of like stupid outfits in my time, and I look back and I'm like, yeah, that was really uncoordinated. It doesn't matter, you don't owe anyone to look amazing. A lot of these outfits are like thousands and thousands of dollars. Like you don't owe anyone that, you just wear the things that make you happy. And this is maybe an opinion that a lot of people won't agree with, but you don't have to be the most polished person at this. It takes a lot of time to get there. And again, you don't owe anyone that. Just like wear the things that make you happy and comfortable. Like I would sometimes wear black. Like I like wearing black a lot, and a lot of people would tell me, oh, it doesn't suit you. Like maybe you should stick to like pastel colors. This is fuck off. I'll wear what I want. Like I know that like necessarily red lipstick doesn't suit me. Honestly, it doesn't suit me. I love red lipstick. I'm gonna keep wearing it because I like it. Nothing. It doesn't have to suit you. This is another thing. Don't just wear things because you think they suit you. Wear things that you like. So ultimately, like everything else, I think it's just balance. Wear the things that you like. Be the best version of yourself, but also understand that people aren't as understanding or nice or educated, and be aware that there are times maybe you're not going to be able to dress how you want, and that's cool too. Let me know your experiences. If I said anything that you don't agree with, then honestly, by all means, tell me. I want to have a really open conversation about this. This is just about my experience. I've been in Japan for 10 years, and honestly, I feel pretty confident, and I still enjoy dressing up. And I hope that if nothing else, I can inspire more people to wear what they want, because honestly, we only have one life and we should live it how we want. And I just, I want to wear stupid stuff. And one of the last things I want to touch on is, as I mentioned before, I'm 32 and I got so much more confident when I turned 30. And a big thing in Jfashion is like, people think you shouldn't wear it like over the age of 20 or over the age of 25 or over the age of 30, and it's honestly ridiculous because the people who I really looked up to, a lot of them are Japanese influencers and models. They're all like 35 or 40 now, and they all still dress like that, and they're still very, very happy and confident. So yeah, at one point I thought I would stop having to wear Jfashion when I got to a certain age, but I don't see myself stopping just because, I love it, and like it's nothing to do with age or like followers or anything. That it's just about being the version of yourself that you want to be. And stemming from that, like now people judge their fashion or like how nice or how well put together their outfit is by how many likes they get or how many followers they get or blah 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 blah. I think social media is a very good tool for connecting you with people who are into similar fashions and finding inspiration, but it also can influence the way you dress, because I've even found myself like, oh, I posted this outfit but it didn't do so well, so maybe, no, don't think like that. Just wear the things that you want. Tenshi Kaibai actually isn't that popular in the West, and most of my followers are from the West, so like when I post Tenshi Kaibai stuff, it honestly doesn't do that good, but I like it, so I'm gonna keep posting it. And also, I want to educate more Westerners about Tenshi Kaibai because I think it's really cute. So thank you for watching, and as always, please subscribe.